Welcome to Female Fluence. We are a place of women empowering women. This is a safe environment where females are not judged nor afraid to flourish. My goal is to help you live an energized life of balance, whether as a mom, a wife, or in your profession. It is time to have self-worth and self-compassion. Live in the present moment and surround yourself with only healthy connections. So join me, Pearl Shur, a woman empowerment life coach, an educator, and a mother of three, to help take you on a journey of true identity and inspiration. Stress is a natural response to life's daily pressure. But when it overwhelms your ability to function, it becomes a serious threat to your well-being. It doesn't just live in your mind. Stress triggers changes in nearly every system, influencing how you think, feel, and behave. If unchecked, stress will fuel both psychological and physical disorders, contributing to anxiety, depression, heart disease, weakening immunity, and much, much more. It doesn't just steal your peace of mind, it directly diminishes your quality of life. We all experience stress. It's normal. It's your body's built-in alarm system designed to help you respond to challenges at work, school, health, relationships. But in short bursts, stress can actually sharpen your focus and strengthen your resilience. However, when stress becomes a chronic part of your life, when it lingers day after day, it turns into a silent, relentless assault on your health. But there's good news. You have the power, more power than you think, to actually change that. You can take back control by understanding your stress triggers and learning how to respond with healthy, intentional coping strategies. Today's guest will help you uncover what's fueling your stress and, more importantly, guide you in building a personalized toolbox of techniques to calm your mind, protect your health, and restore your sense of balance. Joining me today is Alesia B. Jackson, an accomplished author, dynamic speaker, and the powerhouse CEO of Abundant Health Consulting. She is an award-winning certified wellness coach and certified transformational nutritionist coach who has actually dedicated her career to helping health-conscious individuals and organizations unlock their full potential through her signature framework, the athletic cycle, which focuses on fuel, performance, recovery, and recharge. With over 30 years of experience in the health and wellness industry, she has guided countless people in reclaiming their energy, vitality, and peak performance. Today, so excited, she's sharing fundamental world strategies to help you elevate your daily routine and feel younger at your age, which is what we want. Alesia, I'm so excited to welcome you to Female Fluence. Let's dive in.
Thank you so much, Pearl, for having me. I am so excited to be able to speak with you today and with your audience. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Of course. Thank you for being here. So I have your book here, A Stress-Free Life in a Toxic World. And my listeners, if you see this on YouTube, you will notice I have it, bookmarked, highlighted intensely. So I really, really dived in. I was so excited to have you so we can really talk about all the things that we need to do because we are living in a stress world, right? And things just seem to get worse and then they get better and then they get worse. It can be anything from our kids, from social media, from politics, global warming. I mean, everything seems to be, it's stressful. But before we talk more about the book, I want to just kind of have our audience get to know you better and hear your story. How did you even get into this part of your life?
I'm so thrilled that you asked that question because it really was an evolution. I spent 24 years in corporate America working for Fortune 500 companies, Xerox Corporation, Federated Department Stores, Pfizer Incorporated, which is the largest pharmaceutical company in the world. And that's really where I learned about, just all the different stress points that happen in managing, family and career and marriage and relationships and just trying to juggle it all, as a woman that wears many hats. I think I'm speaking to a lot of the women that you serve. We are often finding ourselves in the sandwich. I call it the sandwich generation, where we may be raising kids, where we are, we're trying to manage all these different hats. And so when I was I was in human resources, training and development, marketing, sales. So, high pressure environments.
Right.
You're dealing with all different types of personalities and whatnot. And so stress was all around, obviously. And when I was in the pharmaceutical industry, what I was able to see is how doctors often, because I called on internal medicine, family practice, cardiology, nephrology, and endocrinology. So I saw the disease states that are a part of the whole cardiovascular disease mechanism, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, which are all life threatening and are exacerbated by stress. But what I saw in that environment is that doctors, Western trained doctors, they don't know anything about nutrition. And unless they've gone and gotten additional study in integrative, like Oriental medicine or Ayurvedic medicine and things of that nature. So the propensity to just, polypharmacy was ubiquitous. It just slap a, and I'm not against medicine. Trust me, I'm not against it, because I think it's great that we have, pharmaceutical saving medicines when we have a life threatening or, some kind of a disease that cannot be managed by lifestyle. But I don't think it's the first place that people should go. And so when I was introduced in 2005, when my kids were 7 and 2.5, they're now 27 and 22.
Wow.
Way back then, I was introduced to plant-based nutrition, and I saw for myself and my family what nutrition, plant-based focused nutrition can do in terms of the power of plants. And that started me on my road to leave disease management and move over and make a conscious choice to move over into the world of prevention and lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. I wanted to be on that side to be able to shepherd people through the misinformation, the confusion, the difficulty and the challenge, because people automatically think, oh, I just can't do this. It's too much work. I give up. But when you know better, you do better. And so I wanted to be on the side of being able to empower people to be able to make healthier choices to do that. So that's when I decided to leave corporate America and start my own company, Abundant Health Consulting. And that's what I've been doing for almost 20 years now. And it's so rewarding because I can see the difference it makes when people have knowledge. And so when I decided that ultimately I've always wanted to write a book, and I was like, okay, you know what? I see so much stress in the world, like you just said when you opened up the show, and people don't know how to manage it. Chronic stress is the entree into disease and dysfunction, because if you don't manage it, it can literally make you sick, and it could actually end your life. Okay, and there's a lot of different mechanisms that go into that. But acute stress is something like you just said. It's important that we be able to actually handle immediate threats. When somebody's trying to swerve into your lane on the freeway, your sympathetic nervous system goes into alert. Okay, your eyes sharpen, your heartbeat races, your vision, gets acute, your brain gets into action, the cortisol rises so that you can deal with that threat. Just like if the caveman days, when the saber-toothed tiger was running after you, you
yes.
have to be able to get into action and snap into it. In normal cases, that rises and then it falls back down.
Yeah.
But it's the issue of constant threats, whether you are physically in danger, whether you are psychologically stressed out, emotionally stressed out, or even there's anticipated stress with perceived stress. Your mind is racing. You're thinking about a million things. You're
what ifs, I'm worried. Yes.
Exactly. And so when you don't manage that, you don't have the strategies and the know-how to be able to protect your body with nutrition, with lifestyle. We'll talk about that a little bit later with the 5, areas of wellness that we need to pay attention to, certain strategies that we can do to actually calm ourselves down when we find ourselves in that environment. So that's really being in that environment was the key to being able to help more people and have a greater impact in the world while I'm still here. Okay. While I'm here, I want to bless people with helping them live the best quality of life, the most abundant life, because you only get one ride. This is it. There's no dress rehearsal.
So true. It's so true. I love what you're doing. I love your mission. And I think it's so true. Like it's all about prevention because a lot of us wait and it's like, oh gosh, it's too late. Like it's like, I mean, how many stories do you hear? I mean, so many, I've had so many guests on this show that it's been the same thing where something had to have happened traumatic, whether it's an illness, and it's like that's when they had the wake up call, and that's when. But if I mean, which is great and it's inspiring if you can do that. But if we can take that step, that first step to just say, okay, before I get sick, before I have some chronic health issue, let me make sure that I'm doing all the right things. And sometimes obviously we still have the health issues, but if we can at least know that we have taken all the steps to do what we can on our part, then that's all we can do, the
You're
rest.
absolutely right. It's almost kind of like, a car. If you have a high performance luxury car, okay, I tell people this, analogy all the time. It's like if you spent a tremendous amount of money, whatever the luxury vehicle is, are you not going to put high quality octane, fuel in the car? Are you going to put the crappy stuff, the cheap stuff? No. Are
No.
you going to never change the oil? Because you can ruin an engine if
Yes.
you never change the oil. Okay. So regular oil changes, making sure regular maintenance is important.
Maintenance. Yes.
Would you not ever put water in the radiator so that your car would overheat? No, you're going to make sure that you do those basic things. So why would you treat your body, which is this incredible miracle of I call it a machine because it really is amazing what we ask our body, our temple that we live in to do. If you mess this temple up, it's a temple. You mess this temple up, you have no place to live. So if you're going to do that for a car, then there are certain things that you can do in terms of preventative maintenance to take care of yourself. Quality fuel, making sure that you drink quality water and you stay hydrated. That's one of the five pillars of wellness are nutrition, plant-based, plant-focused, because plants have antioxidants in them, not meat, not, poultry. They don't have that. It's only plants. Making sure that you drink plenty of water. I like to try to say, at least a gallon, anywhere from 42 to 72 or 78 ounces of water. But at least if you can't think about that numerically, at least try to make sure that your urine is clear. I mean, that's a good indicator. You can kind of see.
Right.
Then making sure that you get movement. When I've done research on the blue zones, the five sectors of the world that the people live to over 100. Okay, one of the key factors, in addition to nutrition and lifestyle things, we don't have time to go in that today. Maybe we'll talk about that another time, is movement naturally. So making sure that, you don't have to be a gym rat, but you do have to move. So that means you can walk, you can do
Walking.
yoga, you can do it, can do
So
whatever,
I have
but
a rule, not to interrupt, but I have a rule that if I ever see stairs, like if there's an escalator, my family makes fun of me. Like we'll be at the airport, we're running late to the gate. I'm like, nope. I take the regular stairs. I'm not getting on that little tram thing. And they're like, oh my God, mom, seriously? But you know what? Every single step counts.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely 1000% because you get that in. I wear, my little Apple Watch to
Yes, me
keep
too.
track of my steps
I get sad. I have to look at my circles and make sure.
did I fill my circles in, But yeah, park your car at the end of the
Yes.
parking lot and walk in, instead of trying to find the closest spot, at the very front entrance of the store. So all of those things accumulate. And then of course, sleep, making sure that you get adequate sleep. Your body needs that sleep to be able to do what I call, it's like Caltrans in your body at night. It's like when you sleep, that's when the body, how the Caltrans people on the freeway are always working at night, to do all the repair. Your body does the same thing. It's real. And so when you cut
Yeah.
back
All the
on
repairing is
sleep,
happening.
all the good stuff is happening. Growth hormones coming out. You're just, so, and then of course, meditation, making sure that you have those self-care mechanisms in your life where you're able to decompress, where you're able to reboot, where you're able to downregulate, whether that means prayer, whether that means the calm app and listening to ocean waves, whatever that means for you, but you got to fit that in. So that was kind of like a sneak preview, kind of just letting you know that the 5 areas that we really need to focus on, which will help us manage our stress.
Okay, so can you review those again? The
Yes,
five
it was
pillars.
so nutrition is the first one.
Okay.
Okay, that I like to start with because your gut health, your gut health is connected to your brain health, and your brain is where a lot of the signaling with your pituitary gland. Okay, it's the HPA axis. We're not going to get into the techie tech stuff, but it's the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis, and the hormones that are produced from those organ systems and glands that are part of your endocrine system. Okay, are chemical messengers that manage all different types of functions in the body. So if one hormone is off, it's like a cascade that can throw other hormones off. That is the reason why women, when we're going through different phases of our endocrine system, like perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, why we have so many different systems and issues and challenges. And so gut health is your immune system. Okay. And a lot of stuff in terms of making sure that your microbiome is healthy. Okay, which can happen if you eat a plant-rich diet, which is what I espouse, can help alleviate a lot of issues, and it can help with the stress response in the body. So we start there with nutrition. Then, of course, you got to stay hydrated because, we can live a couple of weeks without food, but we can only live a couple of days without water. We will perish. So making sure you stay hydrated. Hydration, two things. Water is a natural appetite suppressant, no calories, but it helps stave off hunger pains. Okay, number one. Number two, everything runs well with water. And number three, when you're dehydrated, the first sign is you're tired. So oftentimes the thirst response, you may think the thirst response, you may think, oh, I need to eat something.
Yeah.
Check to make sure you drink water first, because you may not necessarily need to eat. It's your body saying, I'm thirsty, I'm dehydrated. I need you to hydrate me. And then, so nutrition, hydration, movement, sleep and rest, and meditation.
Okay. Very good. So when you started implementing these changes in your life, how fast did you see it change? And so are you completely vegetarian right now?
I am not a vegetarian. I am not a vegan. I will tell you that I have tried that and it didn't work for me. Everybody's body is different. We call it biodiversity, okay? Because we need to differentiate. So I'm not a proponent of restrictive diets. I'm not the girl that's going to say, okay, you need to do Atkins, you need to do, paleo, you need to do carnivore, all meat. I'm not going to be that girl. Okay. I'm not that kind of a coach. I believe in a well-balanced diet. Now, if you want to limit your meat, your poultry, your fish, that's okay. But I think that's important to eat, the food groups that are plant rich, and then maybe a little bit of meat, because, meat and poultry and fish, they have certain nutrients that are very, very difficult to get if you only eat plants. Right. I think it's important to eat legumes, okay, your beans, okay, and your other pulses. I think it's important to eat whole grains, not white flour, and ancient grains are probably the best, as least processed as possible. Artisan breads, or even if you make your own. If you need to watch gluten, then, obviously make them with almond flour or some other type of flour, not, the flour that have gluten that you need to be concerned about. And then, of course, lots of fruits, berries especially. Okay. So antioxidant rich foods, but from a wide variety. Nuts and seeds are really important for your gut health. They have so many omegas that are really good, and lignans that are really good, especially if you are going through perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, when you are focusing on your nutrition, it's amazing how it can lessen the symptoms of hot flashes and the fluctuations when your estrogen levels start to drop or your progesterone levels start to drop. You can actually, they're full of I would say soy, not American soy. I'm talking about identity preserved soy, which is not non-GMO.
Okay.
Okay, preferably soy that is water washed, which is the most expensive way to get the soy out of the plant, but it is the best and least processed way.
Okay.
Okay. No pesticides, no herbicides, all that kind of stuff. Because what we find, just real briefly, is that when you look at Japan, Japanese women, they eat a lot of soy products. I mean, we're talking edamame, we're talking about tempeh, tofu, things of that nature. So what soy that you want to look for and that it incorporates is that it has phytoestrogens, but it doesn't function like a estrogen that's going to affect your health in a negative way. It is a SERM, so to speak, and a SERM is a acronym that stands for selective estrogen response modifier. Okay,
Okay.
and so what that does is it functions very much like tamoxifen, the drug.
Okay.
Okay, but it's natural. And so tamoxifen is given to women who have cancer, okay, breast cancer, to suppress those receptors. It doesn't attach to a receptor that's going to actually harm a woman. It's actually very, very helpful and very, very good for bone health, okay, for heart protection, for obviously minimizing the symptoms, and for gut health as well.
Okay. Wow, so much information. So like, so when you were saying so like organic tofu, would that be something? Or what, and then what about like sprouted versus not sprouted? Is that
I, I
something?
always think that the less processed, the better. So,
Okay.
sprouted breads, sprouted, I mean, so as close to nature as possible. Is the
Okay.
way is kind of the way that I look at it. If you can get something as close to its natural form as possible, and of course, obviously, you want to make sure that there's no antibiotics or chemicals or anything like that. So get it as clean as possible. And I personally every day I consume a plant-based shake mix that's a high protein, low glycemic, that's got soy, ancient grains. People want to know more about that, they can reach out to me at my website, and they can either ask me questions, or they can put a question through, or they can look on the website at some of the things that I recommend as plant-based nutrition that is NSF certified, which means that it's an independent company has certified that it's clean. There's nothing that they need to be worried about. And it's so safe that you know athletes, competitive athletes, Olympians, people that need to be, worried about clean food, moms, elderly people. I mean, everybody can consume this without having any problems. And even diabetics can consume
Okay.
it because it's got high fiber. So it's important to have the balance of nutrition that has high fiber, okay, because that helps your gut health as well.
Yes, the gut.
And of course, the antioxidants, which is when you think of antioxidants, what we mean is the oxidative stress that occurs in our bodies is what we want to reduce, because that is the start of inflammation.
Okay.
And
You want to eliminate
inflammation
that, right?
is the start of disease.
Okay. I actually didn't know that. You just hear all those words all the time and you're just like, antioxidants, but I love how you break that down and really explain it to our listeners. So we've talked about, let's see. So now you have this amazing framework, which is called the athletic cycle, and there are four components to it that you use with all your clients. So can you explain what those are and why this is such an important framework?
Absolutely. Well, if we're just a little bit, I want to go back and kind of explain how we arrived at the framework, because I think that's an
Okay.
interesting
Sure.
story. During the pandemic in 2021, one of my clients, I had him over for dinner. He's a former NBA basketball player, and he spent many years playing for the NBA and for the Euro League and over in the Canadian area. And now he is a strength and conditioning coach, and he works with all different types of athletes. But we had him over for dinner and we were talking, and I was like, how does somebody function? I mean, because if you think about basketball, especially professional basketball, they're running up and down the court. They have a very long season. So how do you compete at that level? And how do you perform at such a high level. And so over about 3 hours, we discovered four different components that we kind of broke it down. And I didn't really do anything about it at that time. I just kind of put it on the shelf. And then I started thinking about the fact that, you know what, this is not just pertaining to athletes.
Athletes,
If you
right?
really think about it, we all are athletes. You're an athlete as a mom, as a mompreneur, okay? An entrepreneur, teachers, firemen, you young people, old people, everybody in between wants to function at their optimal level. They want to be their best. Okay. So all of these components, nutrition, which is the first place to start, performance, which for an athlete, it could be strength and conditioning, it could be the games, it could be skill work. But for an entrepreneur, it could be, your meetings, your appointments, your strategy sessions, all of those things. And then, of course, the next section would be the next circle. If you're looking at a circle, nutrition, performance, recovery. Recovery for an athlete could be rehab, it could be, rest, it could be PT work. For everybody, moms, anybody, it's about reducing the stress and getting your rest and incorporating self-care
Self-care.
routines in on the regular, okay? Because I say self-care is self-love. Okay. And then, of course, the next station is recharge. Recharge is that area where you are leveling up. What are you reading? What are you listening to? It could, for an athlete, it could be film study. But for all of us, it could be, what books am I reading? What podcasts am I listening to? What shows am I watching to take me to the next level to fuel my mind and my mindset? So that is why I love this framework, because it's universal and it's something that people can relate to. You mentioned it earlier that there's so much information. It's so confusing. People don't know what to listen to. What's the truth? How do I do it? It seems so hard. I had to find a simple framework that everyone could understand and relate to. And the athletic cycle, don't get confused by the name, but the athletic cycle is that I want you to be your best. I want you to perform the optimal best that you possibly can, whatever that means for you.
Right.
We're going to meet you at your level, and then we're going to take you through and make sure that all of these components are balanced. Sometimes people will do one thing and they're good at that, and then they're off on the other two. The key is that you have balance in all of the areas, okay, of the athletic cycle, that your nutrition is on point, that your movement or your performance, you're sharp, you're able to handle, you're able to function well every day, that you're incorporating rest and self-care, pulling in those five, wellness pillars. And then, of course, you're doing the things that you need to do
Growing still.
to grow.
Yeah.
Exactly. To, personal development, so.
I think that's such a great universal framework. And I'm definitely going to have that in the back of my mind to just completely check in. But to also add on to what we were talking about earlier, because I was like venting to you, right? So I have your book here and I've highlighted and I've done everything. And I love, first of all, highly recommend everyone to purchase this book. I will have all the links and everything in my show notes. But because what it is, what you've done, I felt like it really is like just like a friend telling me all the information. Some books you buy and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so scientific and I don't know these words. But this is just like, it's like, a friend is just giving you advice and you're like, okay, let me check it out. But you have literally not missed anything. You've gone from nutrition to, cooking to working your mind to like, I think you had like things like
I have healty relationships or
something like it was everything.
Mindset, healthy relationships, leadership, and I'm honest.
You really haven't missed anything, like anything that you think about that you are stressed out about in the world. It's like, this is your guide. It's in here. But one of the things that I was saying is I feel like a lot of people can relate is like I get a book like this, which I love, and I bookmark it, I highlight it, I make notes. Sometimes, I mean, there's even, I think there's a recipe page I even photocopied and I put it in my kitchen. So then, like, okay, I'm going to make this protein shake. I'm going to do this 15-day thing. I haven't done the 15-day thing yet. I haven't been able to find those 15 days, but I will. But what happens is that we sometimes get overwhelmed about doing the right things. And then it's like, and then we're like, oh God, it's too much. Like I can't do it. And then we just give up, right? Because I'll look at this, I'm like, wait, I need to make sure that I'm getting all this organic products. Wait, my cleaning products, are they all, healthy? Do I need to change all my health, my cleaning products? And then I go through by through, and then that's like when so like it's just funny because it's like sometimes to be stress free, I'm getting stressed out about being stress free. And I'm
Okay,
like, wait,
we're gonna fix that. Okay,
so please help us how we can go back because I know other people can relate when they try to
okay.
make some new changes.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's my mantra, and it's in the book, but I say it often to people because I want them to really feel this. Okay. Progress is more important than perfection. Okay? So that's the first thing. That's the context.
Okay.
Okay. As long as you're making progress, you're doing well. Okay. Now, second thing is do not try to do everything at once.
Yeah.
It will be overwhelming. You will stress yourself out. So I say, you know what? Maybe just pick one area. I mean, if you think about it, and it's up to you, depending upon your personality, if you just pick one area that you want to focus on in a month,
Yes.
okay, and just say, okay, you know what? I think I want to focus on adding more plants into my diet this month. Okay, and I'm just going to see how I do for the next 4 or 5 weeks, depending on how many weeks there are. So maybe you add a new vegetable that you've never added, okay, into your meal that week. Okay. You just try to find this, how am I going to incorporate more zucchini or how am I going to add more kale? I mean, like for me in my smoothie every morning, I always put 2 cups of baby greens every single morning in my smoothie. It's baby spinach, it's baby kale, and it's baby Swiss chard. Organic. No doubt about it. That's going in. Okay, because I'll know. You know what? Okay. And those dark leafy greens are so good for us. They're so good for us. So, and you don't really taste it that much. I put raw cacao powder in. I mean, I do a lot of different things for my smoothie. But choose one thing. Think about this. If you choose one thing a month, honey, that's 12 changes you've made in a year. Okay.
That's so true.
All right. Now,
Baby
if you're
steps.
that's major. Okay.
Yes.
But if you're a little bit more, you want to do a little bit more, then maybe you're the kind of person that says, well, okay, well, I'm going to break that down and I'm going to do a change a week. Okay. You get to choose. Okay. I'm going to do a change a week. Well, if you do that, that's 52 changes in a year. Or you say, well, I can't do a week. Maybe every 2 weeks I'll do something. Well, that's 25 changes. So whatever you decide, whether it's 52, 25, 12, or what is it? Yeah, 12, you can decide, but the decision is the catalyst to change. That's the first. Awareness is the first step to change, awareness, but then making a decision, a conscious decision that I'm going to actually take the step and do X. And see, that's what's powerful about the book is because I've given you you mentioned it earlier, it's a guide. It is a healthy living guide that is a resource book that you can go back to over and over and over again because you're a different person as you live your life. Something may be in the book that's not relevant to you right now, but it may be relevant later on, but you have it there where you can go back and say, oh, let me look at the table of contents. Oh, that's it. That's what 49 high performance tips to help you live your best life, your most abundant life of joy and stress-free living. That's what that book is about. And it's written in bite-sized nuggets, short reads, so that you don't have to read the book from beginning to end. That's stressful. Okay, nobody wants that.
How long did it take you? Because you have so much like research that you know what I mean? Like like there's so many like, resources that you can show that you have actually researched and you have valid, notes and research to show the evidence of what
Yeah.
you're talking about. That's
Thank
very
you.
impressive.
Thank,
Yeah.
thank you. It took a year. Okay, so I'm not, the kind of person that thinks that I can just go out there and I wouldn't do that, but I'm not saying, but some people think that they can just go out there and write a book and they use Chat GPT and they, that's not I want it to be credible. Okay, so I took a year in 2023 to do the research, okay, to make sure that I covered the comprehensive. And I had people tell me, this is too much. You should break this up into this is actually two books in one. You should focus on just doing the nutrition in one book, and then you should break off and do the other. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that because that's not the way I want people to look at their life. I want it to be full, and
The
it's
whole cycle. It's all of
it's
it
a
is together.
continuum. But we start with nutrition,
Yes.
get the body straight, get the body healthy, get the mind healthy, then we can work on the other areas of life.
Very true. The other thing I was going to ask you too that I notice is social media, obviously. So I love to cook and and I guess now my feed is a lot of like food and stuff, but it's kind of overwhelming because what you find is every day there seems to be a new finding of something that's not good for you. Like, it's like the other day, I could not believe it. It's like all these years we've been told spinach is really good, almonds are good for you. And there was like one thing that popped up and I literally just left. I was like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't even know if it's like a valid resource, but it is, I think it's just overflowing. You think it's like, oh no, oat milk is horrible. Have almond milk. Then the next day it's like almond milk is horrible. Sometimes I feel like we're not allowed to eat anything. Like everything we eat is bad for you according to social media because each person has a different resource and you don't even know where the information is coming from, which is really scary for people who are not going to follow up and they immediately look and it's like, oh, like it's like sunblock just causes cancer. So I'm no longer going to use any, sunscreen. But it's like maybe it's that one sunscreen. What's
Yeah.
in that sunscreen? Maybe it's the chemical. But people don't do that. They just look at it, they hear this, and they don't even follow to see who is writing this article. Is it as a scientist? Is it a doctor? Where did they get their information? That's the only thing that just makes me a little bit afraid of what's happening in the world because I feel like we're getting so much information out there, but so much of the information is wrong. And
Exactly.
we're educating ourselves or our kids are educating themselves with wrong information. So, I mean, I don't know if you can answer that. That's kind of one of those like, you
Well,
know,
I think you do need
crazy
to be
questions.
careful. No, I mean, I'm not a social media expert or anything like that. I wouldn't claim to be, but I think that that's one of the reasons why I felt I was compelled to actually go to the science. I mean,
Yes.
I can actually go to the science, okay, and I did the research, to actually look at the clinical studies. I read so many clinical studies, okay, to actually, and I compared and contrasted and tried to make sure that there was a consistent through line, with the stuff that I was reading, okay, to bring that to the audience in the book and to try to make and to try to simplify it. So, I think it's important for people to do their research if they, I mean, it's your body. So if you care about it, don't just take somebody's word for it,
Yes.
on the internet. I mean, do a little bit more digging. Okay. So one of the reasons why it's in the book, but I also have it available to your audience as a resource on my website. If they go to my website, abundanthealthconsulting.com, they can actually request 22 questions to ask about supplements. I have a resource there that they can request and they can get that. Okay. That will be a precursor and start with a way for them to be able to identify. Okay. So first, a couple things. I'm not going to go through all 22. We don't have time, but a couple things that I can actually share for the audience to be able to get a framework is, first of all, is the supplement a whole food based supplement? Okay. Is it from food? Is it from, herbs? Like, what is it? Okay. Is it man made in a lab or is it real? Okay. Is it synthetic or is it real? Okay. Is it studied by an independent entity like the National Sanitation Foundation, NSF, which is a entity that studies and certifies whether the supplement, the appliance, the beauty product is
And you
clean and
want that
toxin
label on
free.
it.
You would like to see that label if at all possible. Okay. To give you an idea, athletes will not consume anything that are competitive athletes, Olympians, professional, NCAA. They won't consume anything that's not NSF certified. Okay, no banned substances. Okay, is it herbicide and toxin free? Okay, first of all, look at labels. Be a label detective. Look at the labels on your food, on your anything. And if it's got chemicals that are like multisyllabic that you don't really understand, take a step back, especially in your food. Okay, if it's a paragraph, okay, I like to say use the 5 or 3 ingredient rule. 3 ingredients max, 5 max. But if it's a chemical thing that you're not sure of, maybe you do a little bit more research. EWG, Environmental Working Group, is a nonprofit organization that also does a lot of study on toxins in food and toxins in that we should avoid. Okay, it's in my book, but I'm just telling the audience right now that that's a place that they can actually go. And then, is it got any published research on the product? Not necessarily the ingredients that are in the product, but actually on the finished product, like third party teaching hospitals, medical centers. Is it in a nutrition journal? Is it in a sports journal? Double blind, placebo controlled, crossover, randomized trials in humans, ideally measuring blood, not necessarily testing by the company in petri dishes or in mice. So, I mean, so those are just a couple of things that people can think about when they're looking at maybe, buying something, or they see something on the internet, or they see somebody talking about it on, the social media. Just a couple of questions. But if they want that supplement document, they can get it at my website, abundanthealthconsulting.com.
Okay. I'm so glad we talked about that, because I wanted to really touch on this topic where people, because I noticed in your book how you had resources and it showed that you had done intense research. So I really want to advise my listeners is that when you're listening to the news, social media, reading a magazine, don't just take it with a grain of salt and really do your own personal research. And because that's what's happening out there. And it's like every time I'm having like coffee with a friend or something, it's like, oh, did you hear? But so-and-so, some influencer online said this is what you're supposed to do. I'm like, wait a second. So that was just one thing I wanted to touch on.
And can I just say one more thing, Earl? Just, when it comes to cleaning products and things like that, it's like one of the reasons I wanted to put those things into the book, that there are some natural things that are, things that we can use. I mean, that are absolutely non-toxic. I mean, like, baking soda, for example.
Vinegar, right? Yeah.
Like you can absolutely, or essential oils that you can mix with, a baking soda, or you can mix with Castile soap to clean. You don't necessarily have to get the chemically laden stuff, so it's cheaper.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Let's
buy a huge thing of vinegar from Costco.
Exactly.
Right. Yes.
So
it's
absolutely. So, it can be done, but don't try to do it all at once. Rome wasn't built in a day. Just be easy on yourself. Be forgiving to yourself. Be good to you. Yes. Okay. And just take on just a little bit that you feel that you can, and you'll be fine.
Right. No, that's exactly the way to do it. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is that, which obviously we're all kind of, in that perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. Is there any based on all this incredible research that you have done, do you have any tips or techniques for us that are maybe entering perimenopause or something to help us be able to handle these symptoms better?
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that I've been through that. Okay, I'm on the other. I'm actually postmenopausal. I'm 64, so of years of age. I'll be 65 at the end of this year, and so I have been through the perimenopause, the menopause.
And you look incredible. So woohoo!
Thank you. I'm proof that quality, nutrition and lifestyle can help you look younger, feel younger. But in terms of your question, I think it's very important to start with nutrition. Absolutely. Foods is one of our best weapons to be able to help us with the symptoms of whatever stage you're in. The hot flashes, the night sweats, the difficulty in terms of being able to sleep. Remember, I talked to you earlier in the discussion about your gut health and your hormonal health and how this can be affected by quality nutrition. So, a couple things. Add more plants in. If you're not already eating a plant-rich diet, you need to add more plants in, like those phytoestrogen foods that we talked about, the soy. Okay, there's evidence in that the research that shows that that really does help minimize much of the symptoms. It's also good for your gut health as well as your bone health.
Okay.
So that exercise and movement, those happy chemicals kind of can blunt the irritability, okay, that can sometimes creep into, with the symptoms that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
It can also help with improved sleep, okay? Make sure that you get quality sleep. I would say cut down on the caffeine or eliminate it if it's causing hot flashes. Keep a journal and a food journal to see, like, when I eat this or when I drink that,
that's a good idea.
what's happening. So the awareness is the thing. So caffeine can stimulate and create a hot flash, as well as alcohol can create a hot flash. Okay, so that would be the time to eliminate or significantly reduce. But if you just take it out of your diet, for even just for, often recommend to my clients, let's just do a 10-day detox.
Okay.
For 10 days, let's see how if you are focused on just plant-rich food, no processed anything. So that means no preservatives, no dyes, no artificial colors. Okay. Let's take the caffeine out. Let's take the alcohol out. Let's make sure that we're getting plenty of rest. Okay, 7 to 8 hours. Let's make sure that we are, ideally, let's see if you can eat before 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night.
Okay.
If you eat too late at night before you go to bed, you're messing up the growth hormone and cycle, and you need to fast for a period of time. Okay, to clean, help your body clean out. Let's make sure that you're getting your self-care in. Okay, so what are you going to do, okay, to make sure that you're getting, I tell people, even if you have to go into your bedroom for 10, 15 minutes. If you're at work, you go to your car in the parking lot. Okay, set your alarm, turn on the Calm app, ocean waves or rain or whatever you like, nature sounds, and just close your eyes for 10 or 15 minutes and just to reboot. Okay, whatever it is, to incorporate that. The strength training,
yes,
very important to add.
I keep hearing about this. Yes.
You at a certain, I mean, you might be able to get away with it when you're younger and not have to do a lot of exercise and whatnot. But I'm telling you, when you're going through perimenopause, menopause, and especially post-menopause, to try to keep your weight down and make sure that you don't get osteoporosis and bone thinning, you're going to want to add at least 2 days out of the week with strength training, okay, to build muscle mass, to improve your metabolism,
okay,
and to mitigate, some of the other issues with aging. Okay, it's you're going to have to be able to counterbalance that. You also want to make sure that you're doing flexibility, stretching. Okay, as we age, we can tend to lock up. We can tend to, get stiff. You need to keep flexible and limber. And then, of course, one of the things I love, and I do it every week, unless I have a problem with my schedule. But I'm committed to getting a massage, a full body massage. Ideally, I have a 90 minutes. 60 minutes is good, but if you can do 90 minutes once a week to really make sure that your muscles you work the blood flow, yes, the meridians are all opened, the toxins are released, okay, and you're able to relax. It's really just a gift to yourself. I think that all of those things can help a woman. Evening primrose oil really helped me with when I was going through the very first stages of menopause, to be able to mitigate, hot flashes. I didn't have a lot of major like catastrophic.
So is that like an essential oil?
It was no, it was they don't have I used to get it at Trader Joe's. They don't have it there anymore, but you can find it.
Okay.
It's a capsule. It's that oil that's actually in a like a gel cap,
Okay.
and you actually consume it. Okay, and it really just helped me to deal with along with all the other stuff that I'm talking about.
Okay.
But I really
Combination.
think your first defense is going to be nutrition and then
Okay.
lifestyle. Okay.
That's fully loaded information. I love all of that. I think our listeners will really appreciate that. I had so many other questions for you, but I know to be respectful of your time, I'm going to ask you one last question. I love that you choose a word every year to keep you centered and focused. How did you start that practice and what's your word? Because I've actually started copying you. So I will, my word has been for 2025 is a completion. So I feel like I like to do a lot of things and sometimes I take on too much and then I get overloaded. So like
Mhm.
my goal is now to kind of start closing up things before I accept new opportunities. So that's my word. So
I I love that, and I love that you were inspired to start something new and
yes,
to do that for yourself. And it's something that I think that it'll be really interesting to circle back with you at the end of the year to see how did that word manifest for you. Because I really do think that there's power in the word
I
that
totally
focus,
feel
there
it.
really is. And I have seen that in the last several years. I don't remember exactly what year I actually started it, but I know I can remember, kind of going through, I picked that word, I picked that word, I picked that word, I picked that word, and it really did manifest. I talk a little bit about that in the book about which word I picked at what year and what happened. Last year, I'll give you last year and then I'll tell you what answer your question this year. Last year my word was transformation. And it really manifested itself in that I did so many things. I literally transformed my business because that's when I published the book. Okay. That's when I actually recorded the audiobook of A Stress-Free Life in a Toxic World. Okay. I actually began to, because of those two things, I'm speaking more. I'm able to be a podcast guest. Thank you very much. And who knows where that will lead, but it just literally transformed the way I show up in the world and the way I think of myself, which is very important. I think everybody has a purpose. And I think it's important that you know what your purpose is and then you live your purpose out loud. So this year, 2025, my word that I chose is abundance. Abundance in all areas of my life. I talk about in the book the 7 areas, the 7 F's.
Yes.
Okay. So I want abundance in all those areas. And the reason why I wrote the book is because I want you and all the audience to have abundance in their life in all of their areas as well. And the reason I named my company Abundant Health Consulting is I believe in the power of abundance. I want us to live the fullest and best life possible. And the word abundance is just such a rich word. So that's why I chose it for 2025.
I think you're doing that, and I feel like you're really inspiring others to follow in your footsteps. So I really admire your work, and I'm so happy you were on my show to educate everybody else. We can talk forever, but I'm going to start summarizing. So we've learned that your body is a high performance machine, and how you fuel, care for, and recover determines on the quality of your health, your energy, and ultimately your life. In today's episode, we have uncovered the essential pillars of the athletic cycle and how mastering them can help you sustain peak performance while managing stress and anxiety. If you have been waiting for a sign to reset your health, detox your mind and body, and finally take control of your energy and vitality, this is it. The tools and insights that Alicia has shared today are the roadmap to reclaiming your power and creating the abundant, vibrant life you really deserve. Thank you so much for your wisdom and for being such an inspiring guest for us on Female Fluence. Before we wrap up, is there anything else any final advice you want to leave with our listeners today?
I would say start now. Life is not a dress rehearsal. All the health lifestyle habits that you employ starting today, starting now, will benefit your body. Your body will love it. And you will actually be improving the quality of your life and your longevity. But don't wait. Start now. Okay. And if I can be of service to you, I would love to be able to guide you along that path. reach out to me.
That's great. And like we've talked about, don't get overwhelmed. Start now. Take baby steps one day at a time, and you will immediately feel better if you actually are consistent with it. Thank you again. And all the information will be in my show notes, so you can find more information about Alesia and her book link. And that's it. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you so much. Only autographed copies of the book are on my website, abundanthealthconsulting.com, but it is available on Amazon as well.
Thank you everyone for tuning in today to Female Fluence. Together we can influence and motivate other mind-like females. Your job is to feel alive, be in control, and always be true to your own self. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can continue feeling inspired. All the links and notes from this episode will be posted on my website, femalefluence.com. Don't forget to also follow me at Female Fluence on both Instagram and Facebook. Lastly, if you are in need of a woman empowerment life coach to help you identify the barriers that keep you from living the life you seek, please send an email to info@femalefluence.org. Remember, my friends, don't just exist, but live your life to the fullest. I'm your host, Pearl Mashur. Until we talk next time.